Oh.
So we went and saw The Loft. It was an atrocious piece of shit. And let us explain to you why.
That's the nicest way we've put that in the past 20 minutes, because we've kind of been outside screaming about this movie to Brian and Dave.
Yeah, I feel like we kind of blew our load a little bit.
Fuck that!
Like, I literally stomped out of the theater, cartoonishly. I was that upset about it.
This movie's a piece of shit. Fuck it. I don't mind bringing the fucking rage back, man. Fuck this movie for being in 2,000 fucking theaters. This fucking movie was made 3.5 years ago, and what's the fucking point at this goddamn... I almost want to see the original version of the movie.
I do too.
Maybe it's good.
Maybe it's because some of the twists genuinely surprised me, but I was just so angry at that point that all the focus and unfocus and like the meaningful reaction shots that I like just did not give a shit.
A couple of the twists... Man, surprised is a nice word. A couple of the twists I can't say I expected, but because it's so fucking stupid, no one in their right mind would fucking think that that's gonna fucking happen, because that would happen in a stupid movie with stupid fucking characters.
So, I don't know if you've heard, but The Loft is about 5 guys who are despicable pieces of humankind who decide that they're gonna get a loft together. Well, actually, technically, Carl Urban's character is an architect, and he has actually made this loft hanging weirdly off the side of a building.
Oh, we got this super secret fucking location, bro. The most obvious fucking vertical loft in the entire goddamn city.
It's like someone took an apartment and pushed it out the side of an apartment like a Jenga block.
Yeah.
And so they're all, like, gone in halvesies, well, 5-partsies, on this loft so they can, like, take their mistresses there and bang the shit out of them. And we're supposed to feel bad for them when they go into the loft one morning and there's a dead lady in the bed. And they're like, oh no, who killed her? And that's pretty much the rest of the movie.
Up until a couple of days ago, didn't you think that this was a shenanigans movie?
I did! I thought it was gonna be like a heads in a duffel bag, or like a
hall pass,
or like
very bad things.
Yes, that's what I was trying to think of.
I got that because you hadn't seen a trailer for this, right? Mm-hmm. And I texted you about, you want to go see The Loft with me? And you wrote back, well, I think I said something to you about it, and you wrote back, like, what the hell? I thought this was a shenanigans movie. And I wrote back, like, oh no, it's like a straightforward thriller. And then right after I did that, I was like, I shouldn't have done that.
That would have been funny. But no, you accidentally spoiled it because you wrote, like, oh, it's a preview for 50 Shades of Grey.
Oh, we're pre-gaming it before 50 Shades of Grey.
Because it's all, like, sleazy and dirty. Except that this was one of the least sexy movies I've seen this year.
Oh, good lord, yeah.
Like, with all the naked people in it, just vaguely rubbing against each other, staring vaguely off into the middle distance, none of those sex scenes felt remotely believable to me.
No, lord no. It's all shot in this, like... either from security footage or like this deep focus because maybe some of the actresses didn't want to do nudity, and just montages and shit like that of just banging. And I'm like, did they release it this week? Because good fucking God, will 50 Shades of Grey probably be a fucking masterpiece compared to this. I'll probably end up giving that an okay review because I'll be like, at least it wasn't this fucking movie I saw 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I'll admit it, if a movie is sexy, I'll forgive it of a lot of stuff. Like, if it's got a good sex scene in it, I think we were talking about this recently. No, it really didn't. Like, every time it went to the loft, especially in the beginning of the movie, they kept kind of cutting to the fuzzy sex scenes of, like, characters that we didn't even see in the movie, or possibly we did, they were so fuzzy. And, like, there was one scene where just, like, it cut to, like, a plane of flesh and, like, a tongue went, lick! And it wasn't sexy, it was gross. And so... like, it's the 5 friends kind of recreating their day and recreating the past couple weeks, trying to figure out who killed this woman.
All this movie is.
And it's just revelation after revelation after revelation, and none of them made sense.
No, this whole movie, it doesn't even make sense that these people are friends.
It really doesn't. Like, the one is his half-brother, I guess.
I didn't even know that until close to the end of the movie. I was like, oh wait, they're brothers? I must have fucking missed that. I was zoning out.
I think he might have zoned out during some of the exposition chunks at the beginning. Because he's like, oh yeah, and your half-brother and your half... They were talking about at the wedding. Because the half-sister Zoe was there looking all hot and feisty. And they're like, oh yeah, because he's your half-brother and she's your half-sister, and they used to get beat up when they were
Eric Stonestreet's my man, bro. I would fucking bang her hardcore, man.
Top shelf pussy.
Top shelf pussy. Ooh, cheesecake. Top shelf fucking pussy, man.
Like an animal.
Talk about my fucking sister like that, you piece of shit. Why are they friends? And fucking, oh goddamn Eric Stonestreet in this movie. Like, Jesus Christ. You know, when I kept seeing the trailer for this, which Dave and I got the trailer for this quite a bit, when I kept getting the trailer, I didn't even know Eric Stonestreet was in this movie until about a week ago, because the trailers do their best to only show the sexy people in this movie. The only time you see, I went back and watched the trailer after I heard he was in it, and I was like, the only time you really see him in the trailer is just when it's like a shot of like all 5 of them, and they have like none of his lines in the trailer. And at first I was like, well, that's kind of shitty. Like, but then having seen the movie, god fucking damn, he was obnoxious in this fucking movie.
Well, and so was his wife. So each of the main 5 guys has a wife. Are there
they
5
all
guys?
hate each other so much.
Because there's Carl Urban, there's James Marsden, there's James Marsden's crazy brother,
Phil,
there's Tubby Magoo,
yeah, and Wentworth Miller.
Yeah, Glasses.
Prison Break.
Glasses, possibly gay. This movie, like, switched him from gay to straight, like, 5 separate times.
He's like, I think they were kind of playing up the fact that he's gay in real life.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he is. And so, like, they were playing, like, they wanted you to keep thinking he was in love with Carl Urban in this movie, which it did kind of seem that way.
Yeah.
And Eric Stonestreet's role in this movie it really did scream of, like, I've been doing Modern Family so long, so I'm gonna pick the straightest fucking role I could find, which somehow
a lot about pussy,
which somehow made him come across as
closeted.
Yes.
Because the one part where they're in San Diego and like Carl Urban invites the kind of chunky girl over, and he's like, "Man, why are you dining and drinking the fat broads? You know, they're gonna scare all the pretty girls away." And it's like that's the sort of thing a person who doesn't understand how women work.
That's the whole movie. Whole movie is that. The whole movie is just that, like, talking like whenever Christian Troy tries picking up a girl. That's how everyone talks. Like, well, you know what to do. You just give her a key to the loft. You go up there, but you just watch out for my text. That means that I'll be up there instead. That's how everybody talks in this movie.
Well, we were talking about that one scene where he was talking to the senator.
Oh, God!
He had found out the senator was getting some strange on the side, and so he was trying to kind of parlay that into getting a deal with him, where the senator would hire him for architecture. And
boy, you picked up on that easier than I did. They might as well have been speaking a foreign language.
Well, they were doing like this weird code, like, discretion, it's a better part of valor. Waterfront property, you know what I'm saying?
Well,
so
Senator,
he's over there.
I do like playing with fire.
Senator, are you a gambling man? I like to gamble, but only when I have a handful of hearts.
I just got a handful of hearts. I was literally in the theater. It was just, I snapped. I was just like, what are you saying? I didn't know what they were talking about. First of all, that whole scene's stupid anyway, because these 5 fucking idiots are at a fucking party with their wives and mistresses.
Yeah, their mistresses are just wandering through the crowd.
The fuck is the worst that could happen?
Staring at them.
Oh my God.
Like, that entire party was just people, like, glancing at each other, like...
Yeah. Well, there's who my husband is banging, obviously.
Yeah, at the end there's this revelation, like, oh my God, our wives knew about it the whole time. It's like, fucking of course they did.
The most unsubtle dickheads in the world. You might as well be fucking in front of your wives.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, speaking of the wives, back to my original point.
Sorry.
Each of these 5 douchebags has a wife, and each wife has kind of a reason why their husbands would be stepping out of them.
Boy, they made these wives.
Some reasons more reasonable than others. Well, I was saying outside that Fatty's wife was just mean. I keep calling him Fatty because his wife's tender nickname for him was Tubby.
He was...
Like, she'd walk up and be like, "Hey, Tubby, you better not embarrass me at this party or you're going home alone."
She was... Yeah, but he was also a piece of shit.
He was a colossal piece of shit.
Like, I could...
And the thing is that, like, they had this weird sort of rapport going. They were the only couple in this movie that actually made a remote amount of sense to me. Not so much because it was healthy, but because they seemed to play off of each other well.
They did. They actually ended up to get back together at the end, and you know what? That kind of made sense. Like, okay, I buy that. It's the only fucking thing in this movie I buy, is that those two are back together again.
And then James Marsden's wife appeared to be carved out of balsa wood.
Oh, I love her. Rona Mitra. Oh, man. She's awesome.
Maybe I would have to see her emote.
You ever seen her in anything else?
No.
She was in, she was on Nip Tuck for a season. The Carver season.
Okay, I didn't.
Okay. You've seen her, and she was in, like, Doomsday, the Underworld prequel. She's in a lot of bad movies, but I like her.
In this, she was just a horrible cunt of a wife who, like, do you watch The League at all? She's kind of like,
there.
She's kind of like Nick Kroll's wife, and like, didn't make an effort to be friends with her husband's friends, and would just like get up and walk out of her room if she was bored.
They're making this movie is like, they make these wives just written so horribly that they make you want to, like, empathize with the guys for cheating on them.
But then there's Carl Urban's wife, who was just a perfectly lovely lady. She's kind of like a mini driver, sort of. She was a little old. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's what his problem was, that she was aging like a human being ages. But, you know, she was sweet. She went to parties with him. Mm-hmm. You know, he... Fucking, we'll get to Sarah in a second. And then Glasses, his wife had diabetes.
Oh, yeah.
So, of course, he had to cheat on her.
Well, I don't know. He had to have diabetes so that, like, the fucking insulin can play into the goddamn twist later on. I
don't understand. Like, because she's got diabetes, they're not having sex? Is that what they're trying to imply? Because, like, she was kind of wafy, but... There
is no... I don't even know how the nicest thing that I could say about this movie is that I'll bet you it was probably a lot of fun to act in. Watching the movie, I was struggling so hard to find anything nice to say here, and the only thing I could, other than I love Carl Urban,
I will say the nicest thing in this movie is Carl Urban's abs. Because Jesus Christ, he takes off his shirt at one point and it's like this perfect little triangle.
Hey, he's fucking dread. Carl Urban is, like, I would have been here the only reason why I'm at this movie is like, this movie looks like shit, but I gotta support Carl Urban movies.
It's like, this movie looks like shit, but it might be sexy. It wasn't sexy.
I'll bet they probably had fun acting in this movie.
I don't know. They seem to be phoning it into me.
Maybe.
Oh, and then Cokehead's wife is just also a cokehead, but a rich one. I think it was less because of his wife and more because he was just a despicable human being.
Oh, yeah, I barely fucking remember her. Man, a lot of those wife characters kind of blended together for me, because a lot of them honestly kind of look the same.
Yeah, Cokehead's wife and Carl Urban's wife kind of look the same, because they had the corkscrew curls, but...
Yeah, like later on when it shows Wentworth Miller's wife looking at him through the revolving doors when Sarah walks away, it took me a second to realize who that fucking was. This movie has no structure to it. It would be one thing if this movie was told in any kind of remotely suitable chronological order, but it's not.
It's like flashbacks within flashbacks.
Flashbacks. That's it. The movie after the opening credits is them finding the body. That's after the opening credits. So the movie is, there's no arc to it at all. It is just simply, they find the body, they're at the police station, they're telling their story at the police station. That goes to a flashback of them agreeing to get this loft together, because I'm sure it's so fucking hard for them to find somewhere to get laid. And then flashback to them banging girls, flash forward to them arguing about the body. There's no build up, there's no suspense, nothing is intense at all, because for one, the movie opens with part of the ending. So you know at some point they're going to make it outside the police station. The fact that they're even showing the police station shows you, okay, eventually they end up at the police station, so I know that's going to happen. I know at some point one guy's going to fall out of the loft onto a fucking car.
And this is where we get into spoilers, because at the beginning of the scene, you know one thing, and that's a guy falls out of the loft, and that guy is wearing gloves.
Yeah.
So when it gets to the end of the movie, when it's like this big, frantic wrestling scene where you try to figure out, like, oh no, who's gonna win? It's probably gonna be the one who's not wearing gloves.
Yeah. Exactly. And he was the one who was standing around looking the most guilty throughout this whole movie.
I think they were all, like, trying to look guilty to, like, throw you off the trail. But I didn't care was the problem.
This is the kind of movie
I just wanted them all to go to jail.
Fucking hell. Like, this is the kind of movie where it's edited so shittily that when one character goes like, the most important people might find out about this, and then it flashes to shots of all of their wives.
Like, looking. We compared it outside. I compared it to a Spanish telenovela, because it was all just like, bum, bum, bum.
What it felt like to me was more like one of those, like, saucy, like, network on at 9 o'clock at night shows, like something like Scandal or something like that, but an entire season of something like that condensed into a 90-minute film. Like, I could picture this story as like a season's worth of material on a show.
And maybe if, like, the revelations had been spread out a little bit more, and the characters developed, I would have been a little more invested in what the hell was going on. And I mean, there are shows on TV right now with despicable main characters that people still root for.
Absolutely, because characters will have, like, charisma, or there will be something likable about them. Here, no. The only reason why I don't hate the Carl Urban character is not because of the character, it's just because I like Carl Urban.
Yeah, I had the same problem.
You're right, you know what I mean? There are scenes in this movie that end like it's the end of an episode of a show. This movie does not look like a movie. It doesn't feel like a movie. There's the scene where you find out that Wentworth Miller has been recording all of them. It ends in like a musical stinger that you would get at the end of a show. Like, that's the big revelation for the end of that episode, and then it fades to black. I was sitting in the theater like, is it executive produced by Ryan Murphy or something?
I think you noticed that more than I did, because I found that the soundtrack was nothing but musical stingers. Like, there was a lot of, like, a person walking slowly down the hallway, but, like, these dire fucking violins blasting the entire time.
That soundtrack was awful. That soundtrack was so bad.
Like, something really bad is about to happen.
And it's a guy walking down the street.
It's the woman's restroom! And then he goes,
yes! Man, the soundtrack thinks this is the most intense fucking shit. It's a guy crossing the street with his fucking groceries. I hope there's no spoiled milk in there.
So I would like to address the mistress characters.
Oh, Sarah and
other one.
The Anne?
Yeah, Anne.
Yeah.
Which was
Kimber.
Yeah, basically. Well, she was the one for James Marsden, and she was, I guess, the sister of a patient of his that had killed herself, I guess.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. They mentioned that like once.
And so, small fucking world, because apparently she was also hired to prostitute at him. And so he ends up falling in love with her. And then there's Sarah, who is... I don't like to make fun of thin girls for being too thin, because, you know, sometimes it usually suits them because that's their body type.
But this
girl looked like... I compared her to the sexy alien creature from Splice. If someone had stapled a gigantic ass to her.
She had a surprisingly nice ass.
And it was like, it was the ass that you'd find on like a woman shaped like this, except she was thigh gap incarnate.
Yeah.
So it was really jarring when she took her dress off and there was just this huge ass.
Yeah, like at first I thought, okay, body double, but then she turned. Oh, what is going on here? Is this the twist?
Weird elf face with just cheekbones and eyes.
Yeah.
And she's speaking in this really weird, stilted way. There's a part where she's seducing Vincent, and it's like she's brought them up to a roof pool, and I guess that the deal was if she got them into the pool, he'd skinny dip, and so he takes off all his clothes and jumps in, and she takes off all of her clothes and jumps in.
I take off all mine. Now
and then they
yours.
just circle in the pool, just trying so hard to be sexy at each other, and the dialogue is just If
Luke sits here and watches this, all I'm gonna have to do is just swim around and do laps.
Luke, you better get in the pool. I think Vincent might be about to make a move on me.
What makes you think that would stop me?
I think Vincent just wants to do laps. Oh, really? Is that why Vincent has been casting meaningful glances at me all evening that lasted just a second too long? That is a line that she said. That is a line that came out of her face, and I think that if it had been like one of those super charismatic women that had delivered it, I would have bought it. But this woman was just like, she was like Isabella Rossellini in Blue Velvet, except not Isabella Rossellini. Does that make sense?
Yeah, except not very good. Yeah, I get it. I get it.
And so, like, the whole point of this character is to fall in love with Vincent, and we're getting into spoilers here.
This poor character, man.
That's the entirety of her character, is that she falls in love with Vincent,
and then has
Vincent
Wentworth
doesn't reciprocate.
Yeah.
Wentworth hits on her, she says, nope, no thank you, and then Wentworth murders her.
Yeah, the twist in the movie is that that isn't even the first twist in the movie. At first, like, they drug Carl Urban because they want to frame him for her committing suicide because this is so fucking complicated.
They came into the apartment earlier that morning and found her dead on the bed with sleeping pills and a note from Vincent that says, "See you in another life." And so they're like, oh no, we gotta save Vincent, but Glass is like, but wait, I've been recording all this time, and shows them footage of Vincent fucking literally every important woman in any of their lives.
Wow.
Which, okay, that's on Vincent.
Yeah.
So they decide, you know what, fuck this guy. So they
So
the whole
of course.
movie, they're dragging him through this charade because
why?
And I didn't understand either, but then James Marsden said, we don't act until I hear from his mouth that he was here last night. So that whole fucking day where they're just like wandering around and casting revelations at each other was them trying to get Vincent to admit he'd been at the Loft.
Why? First of all, they put the fucking cokehead in charge of doing something with of handcuffing the girl. He's a psycho fucking cokehead.
I don't know why he had to be alone in the Loft for an extended period of time.
Slices her wrists and guts her, and it turns out she wasn't even dead, so this guy fucking killed her, and this genius's big fucking plan is like, cause why not? Why the fuck not? Like, oh man, Carl Urban, man, he banged my wife that I don't even like, so fuck it, let's drug him. I got nothing to fucking do today. Why not? Let's drug him, handcuff him, put him in the bed next to the fucking corpse. Surely that won't fucking blow up in our face. And it does.
Of course it does.
Because they're fucking morons. Of course that blew up in their face.
And so it turns out that the insulin that Glass's injected her with didn't kill her. It turns out the sleeping pills didn't kill her. It turned out that cutting her wrists was actually the thing that killed her. So
Carl Urban is now James Marsden feels guilty.
So he confronts Glasses.
Yeah.
And Glasses is like, well, it sounds like Cokehead murdered him. cokehead murdered her, so are we good? And he's like, of course you're not good. And so they have a scuffle in the balcony, which we already knew the outcome of.
Yeah, like, I know what's gonna fucking happen here. God damn it. And the only consequences in this goddamn movie is, okay, so Carl Urban's wife leaves him, but he's still living in the loft, which is fucking nice, so I guess he's fine. He's a fucking, like, ace architect. I'm sure he's good. He's living in the nicest fucking loft in wherever the fuck this takes place in. Eric Stone Street's back with his wife. It looks like James Marsden's gonna end up with the prostitute.
I have issues with that.
And the Phil guy is on trial for the one bad thing he did in the movie. It was technically an accident, sort of. It wasn't him drugging and fucking raping a girl halfway through the movie.
Oh yeah, that happened. They walked in on him in the loft, and he had, like, gotten a prostitute and handcuffed her to the bed and brutally beaten her and raped her. And the only point to that scene was that we could see that James Marsden had realized that prostitutes are people now.
Yeah, they're people too.
This movie has so much to say about women that I haven't formed, like, a cohesive thesis about how terrible it is. But, like, there's that happens, there's Sarah's awful character, and then there's the end. When James Marsden is walking to his car and the movie decides, out of the goodness of his heart, to give him this lady token because he's been such a good boy.
Yeah. This
prostitute just wanders the fuck out of nowhere and she's like, hey, long time no see, want to get some coffee? The end credits.
After the camera dives behind a car because it's fucking embarrassed about what it just shot. I mean, yeah, you're right. Like, this movie doesn't appear to have a very high value of women, but it doesn't have a high value of anybody.
No, it sure
because
doesn't.
like, women do not come across good in this movie, but boy, neither do dudes.
At least, I will say, at least the dudes had, like, a variety of reasons for the horrible things they were doing, whereas women had sex, love, and money.
Yeah. yeah, that's true. That's right. And if it's
and it's like 10%, 20%, 70%.
And here's the thing, this movie jumps around so much, we're pretty much being linear with what happens in this fucking movie. It isn't like, yeah, we're just sitting here like we're talking about this, and this. Oh no, that's exactly how the fucking movie is. This movie was a piece of shit. When we got out of the theater, which was right when Dave and Brian finished talking about their movie, like, how's your movie? And they're like, oh man, it was really bad. Like,
and then we explained our movie, and they're like, I think we lucked out. How did we luck out with that piece of shit?
This movie was made 3.5 fucking years ago. Up until, I don't know if this is the case now, but when I left the house, there were still no reviews for this movie on Rotten Tomatoes, which is something, because other countries have gotten this movie before we have.
I found one review on IMDb, and it was by a guy called 5 Second Reviews, and it said, not a very good remake.
Again, I kind of want to see the original.
I do too! And maybe it won't be quite so spastic with the cameras and the reactions to stuff.
It's from the same director. The same director who made this also made the original, but, I mean, that could still mean that the original's fine, because there's been several instances where a director remade his own movie and the remake was a piece of shit, like The Vanishing, or... off the top of my head, I can't remember, but, like, yeah, the Vanishing. I don't even recommend. This was like, watch. I've seen Skinamax movies with this exact tone and the exact same kind of twist, the same kind of fucking acting and dialogue that are easier to sit through than this movie. But a Skinamax movie isn't released in 2,000 fucking theaters. Like, just stay home and watch a Shannon Tweed movie, for the love of God. Pop in like a Shannon Weary movie, like fucking Animal Instincts or some shit.
Watch Blue Velvet.
Or Blue Velvet.
That's my final thought. Go watch Blue Velvet.
Yeah,
watch Isabella Rossellini.
Watch Blue Velvet or any other movie where there's a group of fucking douchebags and, like, they accidentally kill a girl, like fucking Very Bad Things or Stag with John Henson and Andrew McCarthy.
What?
It's the same plot as Very Bad Things, but it's done as more of a straightforward thriller. It's like they're at a bachelor party, and it's Andrew McCarthy, Mario Van Peebles, John Henson, and John Stockwell, I think. And yeah, like the hooker accidentally gets killed. Like, what are we gonna do, man? And then the other hooker's still alive. And if I remember right, it's 90s pop singer Taylor Dane is the other hooker in the movie.
The only reason I know about Taylor Dane is Tig Notaro has this whole comedy bit about her.
Oh, really?
I'll have to play for you later.
Right on. that movie, honestly, I am not recommending Stag, because that was a bad movie too, but it was probably better than this.
You watch Four Rooms as a dead prostitute in that.
Oh yeah, Four Rooms is better than this.
Yeah, watch Four Rooms.
Mm-hmm. Oh, what trailers did we get?
I actually wrote them little this time because I had a decent pen. Insidious 3.
I didn't even know until halfway through that trailer that was Insidious 3.
I wondered why, like, they started playing Tiptoe Through the Tulips and you're like, ow!
Yeah, what? And it's a prequel. Man, I like Dermot Mulroney, too. Why does there need to be a prequel to Insidious?
I think I saw the first one and I liked it okay, but I heard you guys really didn't like the second one.
No, the second one was like a pointless epilogue. I don't even fucking know what the hell this is gonna be. I love the first one. Ugh. Well, you were sitting there like, well, I don't have to worry about seeing that. Like,
nope, I sure don't.
Yeah, it's some me and Brian movie.
And then the next preview came up that said, based on the best-selling book. I'm like, oh, crap.
Oh, Child 44?
Child 44.
That looked alright.
It looked good. It definitely looked like a 700-page book. So I'm probably gonna be stuck with that one for a while, but it's like Tom Hardy and Gary Oldman, guys trying to track down a child killer.
Yeah, I really, that looked pretty good to me. Like, I'm curious to see that. I saw, like, it threw me off the other day because they showed that, like, on IMDb, like, when trailers premiere, like, you know, there's the posters right next to each other, and it threw me off because there was, like, 44, and then Fantastic Four.
Fantastic 44. Avengers Age of Ultron, which that preview was gorgeous.
I've never been steered wrong with a movie with both Robert Downey Jr. and James Spader.
James Spader, just the voice, just strings.
I think that just is James Spader. That's just what he looks like under his skin.
They put like this creepy, plinky little got no strings to hold me up in the background. It was like I teared up a little bit, and I don't know why.
Yeah, right. I've gotten that trailer a few times. I dig that. Like it's James Spader being creepy. All right, cool. He's fucking quoting Pinocchio, make me want to shit my pants.
Speaking of which, we gotta rewatch Secretary before we watch 50 Shades of Grey,
yeah.
so we can like do a compare and contrast.
Mm-hmm.
Unfriended.
Oh wow. That, you know?
Is this the first time you've gotten the preview
It
for
is.
that one?
It is. When I first heard of this movie, I thought it was like gonna be like a direct-to-video or direct-to-on-demand thing. Because you don't hear like Skype found footage movie and think theatrical.
Nope.
It wasn't until when you guys talked about it in The Wedding Ringer, and I sat there watching the video, I was like, that's a theatrical movie? And this is my first time seeing the trailer, and having seen the trailer, it looks way better than that Skype segment from like the first VHS movie. Like, I was watching the trailer for this movie, like, I'm like, I don't know, maybe it'll have, it seems like a lot of horror critics really like it with the quotes popping up.
They were all from Shock Till You Drop or whatever it was.
One of them was from Fangoria, one was Shock Till You Drop. So there was some quotes popping up, and I'm like, oh, you don't really see that very often in something that looks like this. And then the blender thing happened.
It's like this ghost is, I guess, getting them to kill themselves hilariously in front of their laptops.
Yeah.
Because there was the blender like, because that's going to kill them. Didn't that happen in Firestarter? Like he stuck his hand down the garbage disposal or something?
I remember that from Amityville 4. Garbage disposal.
Maybe it's just in the book. Maybe it didn't happen in the... Because in the book, like, her dad can push people with his mind.
Okay. It's been
snake in the grass.
It's been so long since I've seen Firestarter. I can't remember.
Yeah, I remember the book. It creeped the shit out of me.
I remember the head blender scene from Dead Alive.
I've never gotten all the way through that movie. I should put it on my list. God damn it.
You'd love it.
No! I got pretty far because I got to the part where, like, the oatmeal, and he's, like, smushing it with the spoon.
Oh,
and there's, like, blood, and I'm like, nope, I'm done.
The movie's hilarious.
Fucking gross.
It is gross.
Chappie.
I want to see.
That looks adorable.
Yeah. I've been getting that trailer a hell of a lot, but I do want to see that.
Maybe you'll get this reference more. I told Brian it looks kind of like Heart Beeps if they armed the baby robot.
I was so happy you worked in a Heart Beeps reference in the Wedding Ringer video. It looks like
because like the Ed 209 just kind of like stomps out. And it looks like that the giant robot on wheels, just like rolling through the underbrush,
humming, shooting at rabbits and shit. God damn, I love that movie. It looks like Chappie to me looks like gritty reboot Short Circuit.
Yeah, I can see that, or like Tiny Iron Giant.
Yeah.
It definitely like heartstrings were pulled, and it was just the preview, so probably it'll be good. Okay, I've written down The Gunman, but I remember nothing about that preview.
Oh, ass-kicking Sean Penn.
Oh, right, yeah.
I'd like to see that.
It's like him and what's-his-face?
Javier Bardem.
No, it isn't.
No, you're thinking of,
the guy who looks like Javier Bardem.
Yeah. Fuck, I feel fucking horrible. I really like this guy, too. He was in fucking Possession and shit. And Losers. But no, it's Javier Bardem, Idris Elba, and I wouldn't mind seeing that. Like, all right, it's been a while since there's been like an ass-kicking Sean Penn movie. Why the fuck not?
It looked like if Red 2 was good.
I forgot that movie exists.
Boy, I sure did. I saw that movie in theaters. I'll tell my grandchildren. Okay, Unfinished Business?
Vince Vaughn.
Fuck that movie.
That trailer does nothing for me. Like,
it makes me mad.
It did not. At least you're getting a reaction out of that trailer. I've gotten that trailer so many times, and boy, does that just trailer like I can't even say that I think it'll be horrible or that I'll think it'll be good, because I mean it has people in it that I like. And maybe I'll go see it. Maybe those trio of actors, all three of them I like, maybe it'll be fine. But dear fuck, I can't even tell you what that thing is about.
I can, because I've gotten that trailer a couple times. It's about a guy who worked for a big business conglomerate, and then he quits/gets fired because he gets in a gigantic spat with Blonde Lady. And so he decides he's going to start his own business with a guy
Dave
named
Franco
Pancakes.
Dave
and a really old guy.
Ray Winstone.
And then, so they're trying to get, like, this big business contract with, was that James Marsden?
Yeah.
Yeah, James Marsden.
This is probably why we got the
Nick
trailer
Frost.
for this.
And so they go to Germany to try to win him over, and then it turns out Blonde Lady wants the contract too. Okay. So they're having like a sin-off trying to party this guy into submission.
It looked like somebody watched like The Big Kahuna and thought like, there's not enough dick jokes. That just, even the title of the movie, Unfinished Business, it does nothing for me.
I don't care about like the lives of businessmen having parties in Europe and how terrible it must be for them. Yeah,
fuck. I don't know who would be at that movie.
Don't you think that it? Let's send the Bryans. They love Vince Vaughn. And that's it.
Was that it? Boy, the trailers went out with Unfinished Business. Oh, I'm glad they left us with a good one before cutting to The Loft.
Fucking The Loft.
Boy, don't watch this fucking movie. Not even, like, as for, like, shits and giggles or anything like that. Huh.
Preparing for our worst of video, which we're going to be doing presently.
Oh, yeah.
I had to rewatch some of the reviews that I'd done over the year because I couldn't remember what I thought of some of the movies. Mm-hmm. I will not have to do that for The Loft come next December.
If there's a lot of movies that I see that are... If I see 10 movies that are worse than The Loft, it's going to be a shitty fucking year.
Well, you just jinxed yourself.
It could happen. There was a point when I didn't think I'd see 10 movies that were worse than Blended, and it happened.
Well, fuck, we saw Winter's Tale at the beginning of the year.
But
that's gonna be my number one, and boy, it sure isn't.
Oh, The Winter's Tale was like fun to sit through. This was
enraging.
Yeah, it so was. Like, because it feels so long. Because there's no arc or anything. It is just... It's just shit happening.
Jumping back and forth in time, you have no concept of how much more movie you have to sit through.
Yeah, exactly.
It's purgatory. This movie is purgatory.
Yeah. This movie made me a religious man more than the Jesus movies did. Okay, next week is, speaking of movies that have been pushed back, Seventh Son and, Jupiter Ascending. That's next week.
What about Duff? Is Duff not next week?
I don't know when the Duff comes out. You really want to see the Duff?
I kind of do. Well, I actually genuinely enjoy She's All That.
Oh, okay.
So I'd be able to compare and contrast.
That's true. I liked Not Another Teen Movie. That spoofed She's All That.
It sure did. Had that really gross vibrator scene right at the beginning.
That made me laugh. Like, boy, that really would be awkward.
You sure know the teen experience, not another teen movie.
All right. See ya. The Loft.
Lofted.